This is the New Year's Day Christmas bird count, and well, it should be called the New Year's count. It's always just Fish Creek Park, and it's always on January 1st, New Year's Day, and a good way to start the new year. So, by the just a rough idea of what it is. It's not an official count, of course, like all the others. It's really just a census of what's going on in Fish Creek Park. It's been around since '94, so it's got some good history to it. What else can we say? And it's really, in this count, it's a little bit different in that it's only from, well, I say sunrise, but it's really just from about 8:30, 9 o'clock till noon, which causes me a little bit of, making some decisions afterwards that we'll come to later. Participants, got a whole pile of them. Good turnout, but we lost about 8 people at least due to illness. So that areas like Shannon Terrace and Poplar Island had a lot fewer people than we expected. That's why you'll see in Poplar Island, there's me and my 2 friends were there, plus Burnsmead lost 2 people with Sheila. And so we had to go help her out or cover part of her area. So, and I don't think we did such a great job as we could have if the other people had been there. So we had quite a number of people, but these are all the ones. The regular leaders, I think just about everybody is a regular leader for the count, which is much appreciated. Makes my job a lot easier. So one look at the park, it's really Fish Creek is 3 or 4 of the areas that we divide things up for, and the Bow River is the other 1, 2, 3, 3.5 areas. So it's really 2 separate environments, which makes it quite nice. This is another way to look at it. Shannon Terrace area, Bebo Grove. This is actually Marshall Springs, Vaudier's Flats. We added a new area this year, and that was Glenfield, because a guy, one of the birders, Bob Leonhardt, had found some good birds there last year, but he wasn't, just officially on part of the count. So this year he did the count and found some nice birds throughout the Glenfield area. We always have Hullswood and Bankside Burnsmead area and Mallard Point. Interestingly, the Poplar Island, which is Mallard Point, Poplar Island is the one area. Ever since before 2013, we could always get across the channel. It was very shallow, and we could go on to Poplar Island and count the birds there. And it was very easy to access birds on the river. Ever since the big flood of 2013, the channel's been too deep, too fast, and can't cross it. This year, the whole thing was frozen. Not that anybody wanted to go over it, over the ice, because it's pretty fast and deep underneath, but it's an indication of how cold it was the days before the count. Highlights for the year. Well, the last year we had some really cool birds like trumpeter swans and lots of Barrow's golden eyes. This year, well, the new bird was a grackle, and the other one was, we got a whole bunch of robins that were pretty high on that, pretty high numbers for the robins. It was January 1st. I don't know if you're in the count or sleeping in, but it was -23 when we started, and it did warm up relatively to -10, and it was beautifully sunny and no wind. Gotta love that. By the numbers, we've got 83 cumulative, a whole bunch of species since '94. We had 31 participants this year and 33 species, which is, both of those are down a bit. Possibly, let's blame it on the cold weather, in long-term cold weather. This gives an idea of the, let's see, first off, the weather. It looks like it was the second coldest day for starting temperature since 1994. The other one was 2018. That year it was so cold and so foggy you couldn't see anything on the river because of all the fog. This year it was just cold. And that meant the green line is participants, the light green line. And so down a little bit, maybe not too bad. And then the number of species holding about not, normal over the last couple of years anyway. This, I throw this out there, too much data to look at. Oh my God. But you'll see along the top, there's the 4 areas that are part of, that are on the Fish Creek side, and the 4 areas that are really along the Bow River, although Hull's Wood is kind of in the middle. And so this shows that most of the waterfowl, of course, are on the Bow River, except for 200 and some mallards out in the Glenfield area. And then further down in the turquoise, you'll see all the birds that are throughout the whole park: the woodpeckers and magpie raven and black-capped chickadees through the whole park. And down near the bottom, the ones in red are just primarily just in the Fish Creek Park or Fish Creek area. Except for usually we get white-breasted nuthatches out into the other areas, Poplar Island at least, and more of them, but not so much this year. So I've broken it down into this based on the wonderful spreadsheet that Laura Fitzpatrick has done for me. So we've got the birds that are about average for this year. So we look at these ones: mountain chickadee, boreal chickadee, black-capped. They're all about, and I primarily just look at the 10-year average. The lifetime average back to 94, well, the park has changed an awful lot. It used to be out in the middle of nowhere with just some houses on the north side, a few neighborhoods there, but now it's completely surrounded, like almost like Nose Hill, completely surrounded by suburbs. So it's really just the 10-year average that I care about mostly. And these birds that you see on the left, they're all about average for this year's count. This year, the ones that were above average, American robin. Why in the cold weather there's so many are out there? Hard to say, but it was a new record for them. And all of these were above their 10-year record, meaning we found some solitaires, some pileated woodpeckers, and lots of hairy woodpeckers. The ones that were down compared to the last 10 years, unfortunately, there's quite a few of them, maybe because the river was so cold and a little bit more frozen over. Maybe it was because the participants were down a bit, but the mallards, maybe they were all out in Chestermere eating in the fields, but they weren't on the river. There was hardly any of them. So they were down a lot. And that down at the bottom, we have the one grackle, which is the one new species reported. These are a couple of graphs of the favorite birds that I always like to keep an eye on. Buffleheads were down quite a bit. Actually, all the waterfowl on the river were down a fair bit. That compared to their since the beginning of when the count started, and even over the last couple of years. And that may be because mallards are one of the favorite food of eagles, but even the eagle numbers were down a bit. Maybe there weren't as many eagles because there weren't as many mallards, but not quite as many of those this year. A few of my other favorites, the white-breasted, even with, yeah, they're down a bit from last year, but just trending about normally. And red-breasted nuthatches, not, yeah, actually down a bit as well, but still not excessively. I like to keep track of the chickadees, black-capped, about normal. Mountain chickadees, which we'd never seen before 2015. And I noticed on Gavin's that he had like, I don't know, dozens, lots of mountain chickadees, which I think is just cute as can be. And we got 2 of them this year. So there's a few that come into Fish Creek Park. And boreal chickadees have just slowly declined over the years, but there were still, I think, 6 of them. So gives an idea of what's happening with chickadees. The one surprise for this year, which was a bit of an anomaly, was this guy. And so I give him an honorable mention because the rules are that, the rules that I don't know where I got these rules from. Whoever I took over the count from a decade ago or more said the count just goes from sunrise till noon, and it's only, birds that are seen by the participants. And so this guy was, for the first time ever seen, was in the park on January 1st, and somebody at some people, a birder at Marshall Springs, told Jim St. Laurent, his group, about it. It had moved a bit since then, but later on, Blake Weiss had, who was running the Poplar Island group, he went down that way, got this beautiful picture of it. But and I may have to adjust things on the count. It is a census of the park. Should we just keep it to the 3 hours, or count the count even birds that are seen by people in the afternoon? That's discussion for another day. Need some other thoughts on that. But for now, there was a great gray owl in the park on January 1st. I think a few other people got to see it as well. And next year, the count will be on same way, January 1st. Mark your calendar. I look forward to next year. Maybe it'll be a little warmer. Can't be much colder. Are there any questions?
Hey, Jim, I can read them out for you if you like.
Oh, sure.
Okay, so given the number of gray jays on the Pritis count just west of Fish Creek, has there ever been any on the Fish Creek count?
Oh, you know what? I can't answer that off the top of my head, but you know what? I can I share this? Let's see. That's a darn good question. And this is what I want to do. So this is a spreadsheet of everything that's ever been seen on here since the beginning of time. Are you seeing the spreadsheet?
Yes, we can.
Okay. And this is, let's go the yearly tab. This has everything that's ever been seen. Gray jay should be right around blue jay. Canada jay, not since 2004. There was a couple back then, but not since then. Love that question. There's a lot of data. It's nice to have somebody ask about it. Anything else?
Well, I don't see anything coming through, but once again, if you'd like to stay on for the other presentations and keep your eye on the chat, maybe somebody will send you a message following up there with you.
Sure.
Great. Thank you very much, Jim. Okay, I would like to invite Kirsten to load up her screen for the Cochrane count.
You bet. Just